Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Monday, May 17th, 2021. Want to go over the top stories today. Major U.S. hospital chain, they just happen to have 84 branches, is suing 19,000 patients over unpaid COVID-19 bills. And if you read the articles being written about this today, the lawsuits are for claims as small as $201, 201. And here, let me just show you that. Right here from the article. The company's 84 hospitals, which are concentrated in the South and stretch from Alaska to Key West, Florida, so pretty much all across North America, minus Mexico, have taken their patients to court for as little as $201. And that's one of the top headlines today. And again, 19,000 patients for COVID-19. But shout out to Bryson. He created a wave in the community. He put out a post on how they lit up Christ the Redeemer with vaccine saves. And if Bryson already did a decode on this, I missed it. But the work or the worth of his work reached me through other people who let me know. And I don't know if Bryson had already looked into it or not, but I just started looking right there, and I saw right away that they did this Saturday, May 15th this year, which was the 3-year anniversary of Clade X and the 1-year anniversary of Operation Warp Speed. But look at how this comes together, you guys. The phrase vaccine saves equals 201, right? 201. And this is that very special number that connects to the Bible and the Jesuit order. And of course, it's the Jesuits who are behind Clade X and Event 201, which again was the coronavirus pandemic simulation put on by the same people who did Clade X. But that one was done later on the date October 18th, 2019, 1 month before the outbreak in Wuhan, China, on the exact same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China, which were created by the Jesuits in 1995 in Rome. And again, 201 is the number of the Jesuits, which we've explained in a million ways. And if you are new here, I do have a book where I go big on the Jesuits and 201 and this whole ritual. Number games, 9/11 to coronavirus. And anyway, so they do this big 201 on the anniversary of Clade X. And here, let's just see how this is all significant and comes together. The day they did this, May 15th, 2021, that date's written 15/5 in the majority of the world. Coronavirus is 155, so is Christianity. And again, this is the statue of Jesus, the biggest statue of Jesus in the world, Christ the Redeemer in Brazil. Don't forget the Event 201 simulation put on by the same people who did Clade X is focused in Brazil. Event 201 is focused on Brazil, where the outbreak begins for coronavirus, as opposed to Wuhan, China. And again, this huge ritual on the anniversary of Clade X in Brazil. And again, we're saying it's the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus behind all this. So on the statue of Jesus. Again, that's what I write about in the book. The people responsible for Event 201, Clade X, the pandemic we're actually living out, the planned agenda. It's the Jesuits who love this number 201 that they've taken right from the Bible. So could it get more obvious than this on the 3-year anniversary? I mean, it really couldn't. And to continue to deny this, you just got to be blind as everything. But with regards to the Christianity connection, beyond just the statue, and here's my post from over a year ago, on Clade X. And no, it's just starting off with the same thing, coronavirus, Christianity. And this is this is more than a year before this ritual just took place. But we talk about Clade X's 113, like coronavirus pandemic, like Johns Hopkins University, who's been part of both simulations. There's a group of well-recognized names that have been the core of these simulations. But this is the thing. From May 15th, 2018, the day they did Clade X, to March 11th, 2020, the date they declared the pandemic, was 666 days later. 666, the number of the beast, the mark of the beast, from Revelation, the concluding book of the Christian section of the Bible. And that's what we've been saying all this time from the very beginning, that the ritual is clearly paying tribute to Revelation and, the biblical concept of plague and illness that devastates the world along with war. And Notice Clade X is 113, like coronavirus pandemic, which was declared March 11th, 11/3, like 113, 666 days later. Revelation, through the Greek translation, connects to apocalypse, which is 113. There's a lot more to this. Corona alone is 66, like Revelation's the 66th book of Protestant Bibles. It's the 73rd of Catholic Bibles. But remember, the whole pandemic began on January 21st in the U.S. That was the day coronavirus was confirmed in the U.S., January 21st, the same day Donald Trump happened to be in Switzerland at the World Economic Forum gloating about his trade deal with China at the World Economic Forum, who was the main sponsor of Event 201 and part of the Clade X simulations. But 121, like Revelation, like coronavirus outbreak, like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Remember, the first case was right by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Like Johns Hopkins University, who's part of it, like the World Health Organization. Again, just mammoth ritual. And from then up to now and in between, there's just been so many examples pointing to the exact same thing, that this is what they're paying tribute to. The prophecy foretold in Revelation, the destruction at the end times, at the end of the age. And remember, we are at the end of an age right now, you guys. We're at the end of Pisces, and we're close to the beginning of Aquarius. And everybody debates on what the real start date is. Some people say it already began. Some people say it's still, nearly 100 years away. Some people say it's just years away. But the point is, these ages are 2,000 years. We're near the end. The Bible says, through the age, we're transitioning ages. It's not too far off. It's within, our children's generation, if it's not already here. But again, what they do, the way they lay it down with the dates and the encoding, again, it's all biblical. All this stuff comes from the Bible. The Bible, the book of Numbers. The fourth book of the Bible is titled Numbers. And that's why I'm amazed that more people that are actually consider themselves religious and that study the Bible haven't picked up this knowledge and applied it, because it's so clear. It's undeniable. But again, just to come back to before we were talking about that, the 84 hospitals, at least lawsuits essentially as small as $201 claims, like a small claims court. And just remember, in Gematria, 84201. Jesuit is 84, and when you write out the Jesuit order, it is 201 and 84. And remember, when you write out the Catholic Church, it's 84, and Pope Francis is 84 right now, the first ever Jesuit Pope, who's born December 17th, 1936, a date with 84 numerology. And last year, the leader of the Jesuits, the Superior General Adolfo Nicolas, died at age 84, plus Superior General equals 84, and he happened to die on May 20th. And remember that. Again, you guys, I know for those of you who are here every day, you hear the same things over and over, but there's always some new person. Adolfo Nicolas died last year, May 20th, the day leaving 225 days left in the year. You see how his name's 5472, just like Jesuit order. And again, it goes beyond that. The 126 in his name. You see the 12654? Again, John Carroll established the first Jesuit university when he was 54. Again, this is the code. Gematria, the alphabetic order, forwards, backwards with the rules of numerology. But notice, when you write out the Jesuit order, it's 84, just like Jesuit alone's 84, like the Catholic Church is 84. Notice United States of America is 84. And the U.S. has had diplomatic relations with the Vatican since 84. Fauci, the Jesuit, the face of a lot of what's going on right now, who's been at NIH since 1984. George Orwell's infamous year in his book, 1984, that my generation had to read about in high school. When we were growing up, they had us read 1984 and Brave New World, and they're both similar books about a world you wouldn't want to live in, which is a lot like the world we now live in, ruled over by screens and propaganda and fear and people controlled by drugs in Brave New World. But yeah, it's just so obvious, you guys. We're living in their sandbox, on their calendar, speaking their language, and living in New Rome. The Jesuits who serve Rome. The U.S. is New Rome. But, okay. So we got these stories. But again, just the symbolism. And also, this comes on the 3-year anniversary of Clade X, which was May 15, 2018. Remember what it is about 3. When you write out 3, it has Gematria 56. notice the 79 as well. It's the same in Abrahamic. Or no, I take it back. Abrahamic's 56. The Abrahamic religions are Judaism, Christianity, Islam. There's 3 of them. And the Society of Jesus has got the 56 and the 79. But did you see how Society of Jesus also has the 187? That's where the Abrahamic overlap is. Also with 187, because again, there's 187 chapters in the Torah, which are the first books of the Bible that the Abrahamic religions are based in: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. And again, there's a huge connection with the Jews and the Catholics and the Jesuits, so that's 2/3 of the Abrahamic religions. And there's a lot of historians that contend that Islam was really created by the Catholic Church to control and to divide. And again, that's the game they've been playing all throughout history: controlling people, dividing them strategically. I don't know that that's true, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Islam is the newest of the religions based out of the book. I mean, seems within the realm of possibility to me. But yeah, just even when you read these stories, though, like this one with the 20184, just the woman who they're talking about telling the story of, her name is Robin Bull. It's like, really? Robin Bull, huh? Taurus, all the Taurus rituals we've talked about. I mean, again, you read the news. I mean, I don't know how people, I guess people don't even pay attention to anything, so they're not reading the news. But again, I just say the same things every day. I can't believe people don't wake up to this. I mean, what is the population of Brazil? I don't know if my videos make it to Brazil. But Brazil is a huge nation. They speak Portuguese, though. I don't know how many speak English. 211 million in Brazil. Yeah, that is a very big country. It's about 2/3 as big as the U.S. And, yeah, I wish this information would go all over Brazil. If somebody knows how to translate this into Portuguese, that would be great. Because, yeah, again, they are the focus of the Event 201 simulation. Again, Clade X and Event 201, the pandemic simulation, synced up with the pandemic, which we've just been talking about, how clear it is that all of this stuff is biblical and it's mockery. And, you know, it's just like evil grinning at us. And, yeah, vaccine saves. It's just, What's wrong with people? Okay. Yeah, I'll save the rest of this. But Bill Gates today in the headlines. Remember how Bill Gates stepped down from his Berkshire Hathaway and Microsoft board positions March 13th, 2020? I remember it was like it was yesterday because it was a big coincidence. We were at the, if there is such a thing, again, but we didn't plan it this way, but we were at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation March 13th, 2020. There was about 20 of us that gathered. I gave away free hoodies, and we created a little noise about the Event 201 simulation, which nobody was talking about at the time, trying to get people to wake up to the fact that a coronavirus had just been simulated, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation were involved. And by the way, William Henry Gates, Bill Gates' full name. Let me type it out again. William Henry Gates. Whoops, not Greats. Gates. 20184. Same numbers we were just talking about, right? 20184. 258 in reverse. His dad just died on the 258th day of the year in the leap year 2020, which was September 14th. And, of course, Bill Gates established his vaccine alliance, Gavi, on July 12th, 1999, which was his 258th day of his age. And remember, when you write out number of the beast, it's 258, and vaccination is 666 in Sumerian Gematria. But, again, Bill Gates was a big part of the Event 201 Clade X simulations, his foundation. And anyhow, he stepped down March 13th, 2020, which just happened to be the day we were out there raising awareness about Event 201. And then what we noticed when we decoded that is it was 137 days after his birthday, right? Because I wrote about this in my book right here. This is in my books. I remember this, off the top of my head. But today, this latest news today about why he really stepped down, because they're saying the reason he stepped down that day, this is today's news. Today's news is the reason he stepped down that day is because there was an affair with him and another person at Microsoft being investigated. You see? So today's the 137th day of the year, and at the time when he stepped down, it was 137 days after his birthday. And remember what 137 is. It's the 33rd prime number. And Bill Gates in the most pure ciphers 33, and he was the head of Microsoft for 33 years. And also in history, when Microsoft's shares were first publicly traded, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was March 13th, 86. I could be wrong about the year, but I'm pretty sure the first time Microsoft went public was also March 13th, which was 137 days from his birthday. And, you just think about things like Dow Jones got the big 33, in New York 33. Are these really federal operations posing as private companies? I think in a lot of ways, yes. And so anyway, I mean, it's just once I saw that I started to read this story. Microsoft board investigated Bill Gates over an alleged affair. I started to read the story. I was like, okay, so this is when he stepped down last year, which was a 137 ritual. And now we hear the update on the 137th day of the year. Again, you guys, it just shows the news is contrived in ritualistic patterns that are bigger than just the story. I mean, the story of Bill Gates is that he was the leader of Microsoft for 33 years. Again, prime number relationships, 137, the 33rd prime. And with it being all biblical, remember, Genesis means in the beginning, right? In the beginning, which is 137, that's the 33rd prime. And Genesis with the most pure cipher is 33. You see how Genesis is 39 in reverse, like how there's 39 books in the Old Testament, Protestant versions. When you're at a Bible, it's got the 33 in it, like good book. It's often nicknamed. Plus so much more to that. But anyway, the news, the patterns, the divorce, we just covered it there. Everything about Bill Gates and his whole family getting vaccinated. I mean, just Bill Gates by the numbers, day after day, his whole life. And from the time that he was just a young little 20-something in New Mexico with Paul Allen establishing Microsoft. And again, I'll just bring up the point. What's with Bezos and Gates having the strong New Mexico connection and being up in Seattle? Remember, there's a connection in history that I guess kind of goes through the military and the government, and that is between Seattle and New Mexico. It's aliens. The first official UFO sighting recorded with the military was up by Mount Rainier, seen from the Seattle area. And then right after that was in 1947. Rainier equals 47. Seattle's on the 47th parallel. New Mexico's the 47th state. The 47 Roswell, New Mexico incident right after the Rainier incident. Seattle has the Space Needle. And the Redmond campus where Microsoft moved to after New Mexico, February 16th was the big day for that campus, the 47th day of the year. The Space Needle's rotating restaurant used to rotate every 47 minutes. They adjusted it, though, when they redid the Space Needle some years back. I think that was in 2018 they redid it, but it was always 47 minutes until about 2018. After about 5 years of me explaining that in the Seattle area about the rotating restaurant at 47 minutes, they decided to switch it up. But anyway, yeah, just, again, another perfect ritual there. Today, Biden made a remark. He said, our nation is going to be the arsenal of vaccines. And again, we're a little more than 1 year after Donald Trump on May 15th, 2020, declaring Operation Warp Speed, the military program to rush out the vaccine. We're a little bit more than a year after that. It's a year and 2 days. And there's a lot of interesting numbers in that quote, but in the most pure cipher, it's 188. And notice in the thing, it says by July 4th, they have this goal of totaling 80 million doses that are set to be sent abroad. They want to get 80 million doses out. They got the 188 emphasized in the title. Remember, just our two most classic ciphers. Bavarian Illuminati, 18880. Kofi Annan, dead at age 80 on 18/8. Been plenty of rituals over the years with how these numbers come together. And there's just another one. So, and remember, 188, big money number. And the Bavarian Illuminati was established by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, and he changed it to Order of Illuminati, which equals 201, and then he ended up dying 201 days after the anniversary of the establishment. He died November 18th. It was established May 1st. And Or just with regards to that pattern, somebody pointed this one out to me today. We've been talking a lot about David Ben-Gurion by the numbers. Somebody just found out something else about him. Again, I'm asserting that everything about Israel that we know about modern-day Israel, all part of a Jesuit agenda, which comes out of the World Wars, all executed by the same number patterns. But look at this with David Ben-Gurion. He declared Israel the nation on May 14th, 1970. He declared Israel the nation May 14th, 1948. And again, 14/5, like 145. David Ben-Gurion, 145. Also 73. He ended up dying in 73 in history on December 1st, like 12/1, like 121, like blood sacrifice 121. We just talked about this with Damon Weaver, 121, who died on May 1st, the 121st day of the year, the anniversary of the establishment of the Bavarian Illuminati. But notice, from the anniversary of the establishment, May 14th in 73, that was the 25-year anniversary. From that anniversary date to his death, December 1st, was 201 days later. So he established Israel in a sense. He dies 201 days after the anniversary of the establishment. Adam Weishaupt, the Jesuit who established the Bavarian Illuminati, renamed Order of Illuminati, which equals 201. He dies 201 days after the anniversary of the establishment. You see how this goes? All these 201s in history. Beau Biden dies at 46, 201 days from Pope Francis's birthday. Mr. Super 201 with all the 201 connections, the first Jesuit Pope. And, on 20/1, Joe Biden's becoming president number 46. And a huge Jesuit ritual sworn in by the former president of Jesuit Georgetown, whose name equals 201, who also did the funeral for Beau Biden. So, again, just how redundant they are with these numbers. You remember how the woman who played Harriet Tubman equals 201. She was part of the George Perry Floyd 201 story. But Cicely Tyson, the actress who played Harriet Tubman, her news, the news of her death was in the news on Harriet Tubman's 201st birthday. What would have been her 201st? Again, just the way they do this stuff again and again and again and again. They've been doing this all throughout history, though. In 73, remember, Theodor Herzl, the founder of Zionism, equals 73. He died on July 3rd, 73. And David Ben-Gurion's name is 145 and 73. Dead in 73. And now, in the week of Israel's 73rd birthday, which was this year on May 14th, they're bombing Gaza, which is 73, and then they had the Bleachers tragedy, which is 73, and they just had the Ba Omer tragedy right before that. All this stuff happening around the 73rd birthday. So, okay, what else is going on? But yeah, again, you guys, just the language. The arsenal, military. All of this is military. The Jesuits are a military order. All wars are bankers' wars. The original bankers are the Templars, and the Templar cross is in the Jesuit logo. And again, the impact of the war on germs has been no different than World War II, as we've read many headlines about. All the lending in the world from all the banks that are profiting. Again, where does the Ponzi scheme of the banks end up, The Vatican? The independent city-state with its own central bank? We got young Bryson calling in, the man of the hour.
What's up, Zach?
What's up, Bryson? You should have called in 1 minute later. You could have called in at 1:37 on the 137th day of the year. But what's up, man?
So it just shows how perfect it is. But I heard you mentioning my name at the beginning of the stream when it comes to the Christ the Redeemer statue. Give me just a second here. I just got home. I'm pulling up my full decode on this, but just to for a rebuttal. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Just a recap on the vaccine saves ritual. Vaccine saves equals 201 reverse ordinal, and of course the Christ the Redeemer statue is in Rio de Janeiro, which equals 201.
That's right.
And that's where the Summer Olympics happened. The 2016 Summer Olympics is 201. But I was, if you go to the Wikipedia for this statue, Christ the Redeemer, if you want to pull this up, you can. But go to Wikipedia, Christ the Redeemer statue, Wikipedia, and you'll see that. Here, I'm just going to do a direct quote. created by French sculptor Paul Landowski and built by Brazilian engineer Heitor de Silva Costa. I'm probably saying that wrong, but a French sculptor, like Paris, France, where the Jesuits were established. And of course, just because it was French or the sculpture was French doesn't mean, but well, I mean, in this sense, it means something from my perspective. The French sculptor, but anyway, copy and paste the name of the Brazilian engineer, Heitor de Silva Costa. That's 201. He was the one who built the statue. And the statue was designated in 2001. So, pretty big decode. But, well, actually not very, but, really, really simple to understand and just...
yeah, perfect.
Very obvious.
Perfect. The engineer's name is 201. The Jesuits are from France. I got to look more into these people. Paul Landowski. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I tried doing his name.
His birthday was 6/1, June 1st. Jesus is 61, Christ 61. So perfect guy to have on there. Perfect birthday with that 6/1 birthday. Church 61.
Right, yeah. And then if you type out Christ the Redeemer, it's 93. A good old number with
I
Jesus.
definitely know that one. I've been talking about that one for a long time. Yeah.
So I just wanted to give you the full decode because I saw you only had the vaccine saves, but there's a whole lot more to it. So
that is true. And again, I just connected the Event 201 Clade X, how all those are connected, and Event 201 is focused on Brazil where the statue is. But yeah, the Rio de Janeiro and the engineer, more 201 connections.
Yep.
So Bryson, do you remember somebody pointed out the other day a map with an old name on Brazil? It was on one of my live streams or radio shows. I lost the tab of that, and I cannot remember what the person showed us. I'm wondering if you watched that stream and you remember.
What was it again?
There was some old name for Brazil on a map before it was called Brazil, and it was super interesting, and I can't remember what it was.
Old name for Brazil.
Somebody out there listening, if you don't remember, will probably remember, and then it will get back around. But I lost something that was really good that we found in the moment. So
yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I'll look in here. Let me look in the chat right now and see. But yeah, that's all I got. Just wanted to clarify the full decode.
All right, good work, Bryson. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one.
Take care. All right, so yeah, even more 201s, young Bryson. And I'm going to have to figure out what that old map was with the name on Brazil. Okay, so we got another 56. Call it a coincidence. Mexico's Andrea Meza crowned Miss Universe, which took place in Florida. But Miss Universe has the 56 in it. Her name, Andrea Meza's 56. And then maybe that could be a coincidence, but look at her full name. Alma Andrea, or hold on, you guys. I see that my information, I copied her name just reading it. Alma Andrea Meza. I copied it right there. It was 263, the 56 prime, but she actually has another name on there. Carmona. I wonder if that's her married name. Maybe this is her maiden name. Her maiden name, though, is 263, the 56th prime. And so it's like, I've seen a lot of that pattern. Miss Universe, by the way, is 56 forward, 79 in reverse, just like Society of Jesus. And, Mexico Catholic. I didn't put a lot of time into this, but I noticed that there were her and 73 other women. So that means there were 74 women, that magic number. You know how big 74 is. Ritualistic number for the Cabal. Connects from Masonic to Jesus to Lucifer to occult. Again, it's the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, at the top of this pyramid. But the day she won 16/5, like 165, Scottish Rite is also 165. And I noticed that from her birthday, August 13th, to the day this happened was her 277th day of her age, the 59th prime. Freemasonry, of course, is 59. And then the date had 42 and 62 numerology, like Freemasons 42, like Masons 62. So she could be the daughter of somebody born and bred to be, beauty pageant winner. And Anyhow, 74 women and more 56s. Also, today we assume that there'd be more violence in Gaza because Gaza's 17 in the most pure cipher like kill. And sure enough, today's story is Israel bombed 9 miles of Gaza today with warplanes. And I've been listening to other people in the truth community's opinions on this. Some think it's just all theater, all for show, abandoned areas they want to tear down and rebuild new stuff. Again, you guys, I'm not going to pretend to know. I've never been to Israel in my life. I've never been on the ground. Almost all the information I've ever gotten about this region is from the same TVs, newspapers, magazines you've read from. And notice in the time that we've been doing this, we've only had like 1 or 2 people ever call in from Israel. I don't know if like our work's blocked over there, but we've had a number of international calls over the year, but hardly any from Israel. And you think there'd be more people calling in from there. I mean, we've got people writing about us in the paper over there trying to put down our work. But you see why they're putting it down now. 73rd birthday, bombing Gaza 73, and all patterns we said to look out for this year. We've been talking about Israel and their 73rd birthday for years. These are things we were on back in 2018 and 19. We were really concerned the year they were turning 71 because Temple's 71, but we were also on the 73 because of the biblical thing. And again, here it is. So this is what it looks like. And they're not... I did notice something, though, on the 17th. Israeli strikes have killed 200 people in Gaza. And don't forget that these airstrikes began May 10th last week, which was 201 days after Netanyahu's birthday, another 201 ritual. But then that next part is including 59 children. 59 is the 17th prime, and 35 women, right? And that's where they hit you with, is the children and women. And 59 and 35, there's a number of things that are interesting here. But Gaza has the 35 and 17, right? 59 is the 17th prime. Again, this is all going on during the time of Israel's 73rd birthday. And May 19th, 2 days from today, we'll see the chaos number. But then, of course, Catholic has the 35 connection, also 145. And again, Israel established 14/5, May 14th, by David Ben-Gurion, whose name is 145 and 73, just like Theodore Herzl, who died on 7/3, is the founder of Zionism, who's got the 73 in his name as well. But there's a reason, again, that there's all this tension during the time of the 73rd birthday, when it's clearly the Catholic Church with their 73 books in the Bible behind it. And again, in that last book, Revelation, the story about the false ones who are the synagogue of Satan, who claim to be Jews though they are not. That's what's written in Revelation. Again, it's very obvious how... You guys, essentially, this is the way I look at the world, even without, it's obvious there's been all these major wars throughout history. And look at what happens when there's war. History's destroyed, history's rewritten, history's retold. Whoever essentially controls whatever the printing press of the world is controls the information of the world. And the printing press of the world now is the news, and who controls the strings to the internet, and what information gets out and what doesn't. And but it's obvious that, how could there even come to be a group of people who don't know who their true identity is, and a group of people who now think they're someone that they're not? I mean, how could these things even possibly happen? Those could only happen in areas that were like ravaged by warfare and destruction and continuous death and murder, in a society where the children are growing up and there's like hardly any adults around, or people who know anything about anything. This is obviously what's happened to the world. And then then there's a force that's been behind all this to destroy and confuse and conquer. And then they, throughout history, maintain the narrative and use it in a divisive way to always keep people fighting amongst themselves while they exploit the problems they cause. They just swoop in and become the hero and say, oh, look at us in our costume. We're the heavenly father of the church. I mean, that's like the world we live in. The evil hiding in a costume. And people fall for it because their parents and their grandparents fell for it, and they don't even know who their great-grandparents were, so they don't even really know that much about, their own family history. And maybe the reason that the first grandparent found for it in the family ancestry is because they were living in a time of, believe this, fall for this, fall in line with this, or you'll end up over there on the chopping block as well. You know what I mean? So I think that's what happened to the world in a nutshell. And yesterday we caught this. I did a real-time decode of the supposed Hamas leader that was killed in a bombing yesterday on Sunday, and his name was Sinwar, which just sounds like a completely ridiculous name. Sinwar, and we looked up how rare that name was. It was one of the rarest names in the world, and there was like 2 people in the whole Middle East that had the name Sinwar. One was in India. The other was like in United Arab Emirates. I forget. There's hardly anybody. But Yahya Sinwar, his name, the supposed Hamas leader, Gematria of 144, 54, 153, just like Jesuit order. And these are all biblical numbers too, especially the 153, which goes with Holy Bible. And then the one cipher where it doesn't overlap, the 63 and 72, his birthday is October 29th, the day leaving 63 days left in the year, which is another number that the Jesuits do use, like John Carroll has it in his name. And it's a number that connects to Rabbinic Judaism. But Sinwar alone, the surname, got the 8478 in it, just like Jesuit and Sunday, the day he was killed. You see how Sinwar is also 42? Sinwar, 42, right? Jesuit, 42. War is 42. World War is 42. History is 42. Again, so... And this Sunday that he was killed was a date with 42 numerology. And then Hamas. He's the leader of Hamas. Hamas is 42. So when I hear people saying, and the thing is, I hear a lot of people make big claims in the truth community, but I don't know how they back up their claims because they're not there and they're saying, they might not be wrong though. Just people who are claiming that everything going on right now in Israel is theater and they're only bombing abandoned places and it's just about, the show and just the same show that they always give us that just moves the world. I hear all that. It's possible. But at the same time, I don't know that, because these guys are claiming that nobody's dying, and I just don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true, so I'm not going to make the claim. But I'll say it's possible. Realize, that's what I do on my channel. I don't make claims I can't back up. I can back up the points I'm making every day that the Jesuits run the world, and they do it by this code, and it's clearly all their rituals. I mean, the historical timeline's there. The information I reveal is there each day. It's just plenty of other people warned about this over the centuries. There's books like this that were written long ago. And anyway, it is the Jesuits. It's clear as day. And are people really dying over there? I don't know. But I'll say this, either way, it's evil what they're doing. It is completely evil because it's stressing people out worldwide who believe everything they see on the news and engage in it emotionally, and they take sides. All of these activities are still the process of building the New World Order, dividing the people, conquering the people, making them kill themselves for all sorts of reasons. And again, Yahya Sinwar. I mean, to me, this sounds like a chosen agent actor for a Jesuit-led controlled opposition like Hamas. And realize, the people who are doing, violent extremism, they might not even realize at the end of the day who's controlling them. It could be the Jesuits work through a trusted name in the community who's known to have resources, but who's actually behind him? You know what I mean? If you have money, if you have power, and if you have influence, you can get people to do what you want them to do, If I was a billionaire right now, I could make it look like people cared about waking up to truth by employing 100 people today to the corner where I've been and just make it look like everybody finally cares. If I had that kind of wealth and I wanted to make people think that people cared about truth, I could afford to send a bunch of, temp agents out to the corner to really rally for the cause that I want them to, right? And that's what these people do every day. They use their power and influence to steer the minds of others. Wow, looks like people care about that. And again, by the way, this Yaha Sinwar, he died 199 days after his birthday, the 46th prime. Sacrifice 46, execution 46, but at the same time Catholic 46, who's running the show. Temple Mount 46. This whole thing began with the conflict at Temple Mount on May 7th, the police and the Palestinians. But yeah, just more 201s by the day. By the time I'm done with the book, maybe I will have 201 examples of 201 in the Jesuits. I might have 201. I'll have to count them all up because there's just more that just keep coming at us. You know, David Ben-Gurion. It's not an accident that he died 201 days after that anniversary. No way. Just like it's not an accident that the military conflict in Israel just began 201 days after Netanyahu's birthday. It's not an accident again, it was a huge 201 ritual in the Kentucky Derby. It ended up being a big 201 ritual with the Preakness as well. The only real 201 ritual in the main event came through with Rombauer winning. And I got to admit, I saw something was going on with that horse. I thought maybe that horse might finish in second. I didn't see it as the winner. Even though the 201 was the only way it worked out was if it won, and it did. But, and I kind of got taken because I don't know horse racing, and all the experts were writing that Rombauer horse just was too slow. It couldn't win. And again, that's why you cannot trust the mainstream media. They're just putting out bad information, misleading you all the time. And had I not read those articles, I might have had some more faith in that Rombauer horse. But it was another 201. And we were documenting 201 with horse racing last year. We've been documenting 201 with every major sports ritual that's gone on. Finals, Super Bowl, March Madness, everything. It's just been 201 city. The Jesuits. I mean, when you start to think about it, I mean, it's amazing what they're pulling off. But again, centuries old, probably really thousands of years old, even though because the Jesuits carry on traditions that came before them. The Templars and the Templars carry on things that came before them. They go all the way back down to Babylon. But this thing that works through the Jesuits now is a well-oiled machine. And shout out to Joe. Joe always makes a great observation. Yesterday I was talking about 40 acres and a mule. I should have wrote out 40 acres and a mule because Joe did. And he said, Zach, look, 40 acres and a mule equals 201. And again, this comes out of the whole Civil War, which was a big 201 ritual. And remember, Confederates 201, and last year on June 19, 2020, the only Confederate statue in D.C. fell. And then 201 days later was the Capitol insurrection with the Confederate flag flying. And again, the Confederate statue was torn down after the George Perry Floyd killing, which was a massive 201 ritual, coming 201 weeks after a Gematria, which was a similar story out of Paris, France, where the Jesuits are from. And in Europe, they remembered a Gematria and George Floyd together, who were killed 201 weeks apart, plus a Gematria was killed on the 201st day of 2016, the leap year, which was July 19th. But, yeah, the Ignatian year, going to start on the 1-year anniversary of the death of Adolfo Nicolas. And that's just 3 days away, May 20th. And, yeah, it just feels like such an in-your-face mockery every day when you're awake. And I posted on my Twitter earlier that I think whenever they do the next DSM update, that's the supposed mental health, they're always changing and adding more things as a mental health problem. I think a real mental health problem, like you could probably erase most of the things on the DSM. You could probably single it down to about a few pages, honestly. And I think one of those things on those few pages would be if you deny gematria being used by what truly is the New World Order, which is the Jesuit order, that's a mental illness. If you're denying what these people are doing every single day in front of our faces, there's something wrong with your brain to deny what is right there, undeniably right there, 84 hospitals, $201. I mean, how many times do I bring 84 and 201 together with the Jesuits, in this book and in a million posts since? All right, so I got to figure out what's going on today. Sweet lady, she needs me to pick her up at some point, and I'm waiting for... Hold on, she actually texted me. Okay, but she didn't text me the time of what time. Maybe she doesn't know yet. Sweet lady, I have to pick her up at some point. She's at a work school type thing, and we only have one car. I'm starting to think maybe we need to get another mode of transportation. But yeah, when if it's soon, and when I pick her up, after I pick her up, I'll go out to the corner, just trying to figure out. I don't want to go out to the corner and then ever call me right away. So anyway, I'm not sure when I'm going out to the corner. I do intend to go out there today. If for whatever reason this goes longer than expected and it messes it up, I'll make up for it tomorrow, I suppose. Oh, you know what? Maybe I just won't do it today because I remember the Patreon people want me to do something today too. So many things to do. So many things to do. Anyway, I'll keep you posted on what the next move is. And thank you for sending this book. Edmund Paris. I find that I wonder if that's his real name or if that's the ghostwriter name, or Paris is where the Jesuits are founded. But The Secret History of the Jesuits. I am gonna dig into this and do some reading, and you know what? Maybe I don't want to read the foreword. I'll check that out later. If you don't read books, people often write a new introduction for the book. Here, let's just read a little. Here, let's do a little bit. Maybe Sweet Lady will text me what time to pick her up here in the next few minutes. I can figure it out. Okay, so unexpected reading. Edmund Paris, The Secret History of the Jesuits. Chapter 1, Ignatius of Loyola. Section 1, The Founding of the Jesuit Order. Okay. Let's see how long. Hey, chapter 1 begins on page 21. Did they do that on purpose? Edmund Paris. Okay, hold on. Let's read. Let's see how many words I can't pronounce. The founder of the Society of Jesus, the Spanish Basque Don Inigo Lopez de Recalde, that might already be one or a few mispronunciations, was born at the castle of Loyola in the province of apologies to Italy. Guipuzcoa. Yeah, probably not. Guipuzcoa. Blame it on the U.S. education. In 1491. He was one of the strangest types of monk soldier ever engendered by the Catholic world. Of all the founders of religious orders, he may be the one whose personality has left the strongest mark on the mind and behavior of his disciples and successors. This may be the reason for that familiar look or trademark, a fact which goes as far as physical resemblance. Mr. Fourier disputes this fact, but many documents prove the permanence of a Jesuit type through the ages. The most amusing of these testimonies is found at the Gematria Museum on the golden background of a 16th century screen, a Japanese artist portrayed, with all the humor of his race, the landing of the Portuguese and the sons of Loyola in particular on the Nipponese Islands. Now, as I read that, it just reminds me, if you study the Knights Templar, one of their big hideout countries was also Portugal, and I'm just thinking about a Brazil, an Event 201, and Brazil speaks Portuguese, Templars, Jesuits. So, I can already tell this book's going to be good for me. Page 1, and Portugal is something I've been meaning to do a lot more research on. In fact, I need to learn more about Portugal and Brazil, and I need to figure out what was written on that old map. Maybe what it was, you know what? I know what it was. I think this is right. What was written on Brazil in an old map once upon a time was America. And America and Brazil are both 32 in the most pure cipher, like the 32 sun rays on the Jesuit logo and all that. I think that's what was once written on the Brazil map. America. Okay. The amazement of this lover of nature in bright colors is obvious in the way he depicted those long black shadows with their mournful faces on which is congealed all the arrogance of the fanatic ruler. The likeness between the work of the Oriental artist of the 16th century and our Damar of 1830 is there for all to see. I feel like is this following another book? This is chapter 1, page 1. He's describing something that apparently a lot of people know about, though. This is why when I write, I'm just like super. a lot of times I read other people's writing, I'm like, I feel like they could have been more clear here. What exactly? But then sometimes you read far enough in, and you're like, oh, now it's all coming together. Like many other saints, Inigo, who later Romanized his name and became Ignatius, looked far from being the one predestined to enlighten his contemporaries. His stormy youth was filled with mistakes and even heinous crimes. A police report said he was treacherous, brutal, vindictive. So they're describing how Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, was, and I've heard this before. I haven't read it straight from this book, but maybe it comes straight from this book. But a lot of people will report how he was, Ignatius of Loyola was a piece of work. All his biographers admit that he yielded none of his boon companions regarding the violence of the instincts than a common thing. An unruly and conceited soldier, said one of his confidants. He led a disorderly life as far as women, gambling, and duels were concerned, added his secretary Polanco. All this is related to us by one of his spiritual sons, R.P. Roquet, who tried somewhat to explain and excuse this hot temper which was eventually turned admirum de gloriam. It says here, to the greater glory of God. I've always read it for the greater glory of God, but either way, it's all the same. But that's the thing. The Jesuits are known for doing terrible things and saying for the greater glory of God. And this all comes from the way Ignatius of Loyola rolled. As is the case for many heroes of the Roman Catholic Church, a violent physical blow was necessary to change his personality. He had been page boy to the treasurer of Castile until his master's disgrace. Then he became a gentleman in the service of the Viceroy of Navarre, having lived the life of a courier until then. The young man started the life of a soldier by defending Pampeluna against the French commanded by the Count de Foix. The wound which decided his future life was inflicted during that siege, and that's coming up. That's what May 20th supposedly is. And May 20th, I forget exactly what year. 21. Yeah, it's May 5th, 15. No. I think May 5th, 1521. Yes, that's correct. May 5th. No. May 20th. 1521 is the day that he was supposedly hit by a cannonball. And Cannonball has the Gematria 56 like Society of Jesus. And that happened against France, where the Jesuits are from. A leg broken by a bullet, he was taken by the victorious French to his brother Martin Garcia at the castle of Loyola. Now starts the martyrdom. It's interesting that it says bullet there, because the story is that he was hit by a cannonball. Now starts the martyrdom of surgery without anesthesia, through which he had to go a second time as the work had not been done properly. His leg was broken again and reset in spite of all this. Ignatius was left with a limp. One can understand that he only needed an experience such as this to cause him a nervous breakdown. The gift of tears, which was then bestowed on him in an abundance, and in which his pious biographers see a favor from on high, is maybe only the result of his highly emotional nature, henceforth to affect him more and more. His sole entertainment while lying wounded and in pain was the reading of the life of Christ and the life of the saints, the only books found in the castle. As he was practically uneducated and still affected by that terrible shock, the anguish of Christ's passion and the martyrdom of the saints had an indelible impact on him. This obsession led the crippled warrior on the road to apostolate. He put the books to one side and daydreamed. A clear case of the wakeful dream. This was a continuation into the adult years of the imaginary game of the child. If we let it invade the psychic realm, the result is neurosis and surrender of the will. That which is real takes second place. At first sight, the diagnosis seems hardly to apply to the founder of such an active order, nor to the other great mystics and creators of the religious societies, all of whom had apparently greater capacities for organization. But we find that all of them are unable to resist their overactive imaginations, and for them, the impossible becomes possible. This has me thinking, so it's talking about when he's essentially dreaming up what becomes the Society of Jesus after this tragedy to his leg in 1521. But the Jesuits were officially established in 1534, so it took 13 years from that moment to the official establishment, August 15th, 1534. Here is what the same author says on this subject. I want to point out the obvious outcome of the practice of mysticism by someone possessing a brilliant intelligence. The weak mind indulging in mysticism is on dangerous ground, but the intelligent mystic presents a far greater danger, as his intellect works in a wider and deeper way. When the myth takes over from the reality in an active intelligence, it becomes mere fantasism, an infection of the will which suffers from a partial enlargement or distortion. Ignatius of Loyola was a first-class example of that, active mysticism and distortion of the will. Nevertheless, the transformation of the gentleman warrior into the general of the most militant order in the Roman Church was very slow. There were many faltering steps before he found his true vocation. I need a drink of water. It is not our intention to follow him through all those different stages. Let us recall the main points. In the spring of 1522, he left the ancestral castle with his mind. So almost a year later, he stayed there for about a year. He got injured in spring of 1521. Spring of 1522, he's gone. He left the ancestral castle with his mind made up to become a saint similar to those whose edifying exploits he had been reading about in that big Gothic volume. Besides, did not the Madonna herself appear to him one night holding in her arms the child Jesus? After a thorough confession at the monastery of Montserrat, he was planning to go to Jerusalem. The plague was rife in Barcelona, and as all maritime traffic had stopped, he had to stay at Manresa for nearly a year. There he spent his time in prayers, orisons, long fasts, flagellating himself? That is not a word I use. Flagellating himself. Practicing all the forms of maceration and never failing to appear before the tribunal for penance, even though his confession at Montserrat had apparently lasted 3 whole days. Such a thorough confession would have been sufficient to a less scrupulous sinner. All this depicts quite clearly his mental and nervous state. At last delivered from that obsession of sin by deciding it was only a trick of Satan, he devoted himself entirely to the varied and plentiful visions which were haunting his feverish mind. It is because of a vision, says H. Beaumer, that he started eating meat again. It is a whole series of visions that revealed to him the mysteries of the Catholic dogma and helped him to truly live it in that way. He meditates upon the Trinity under the shape of a musical instrument which, with 3 chords, the mystery of the creation of the world through something hazy and light coming out of a ray of sunshine, the miraculous descent of Christ into the Eucharist as flashes of light entering the consecrated water. When the priest held it up while praying, the human nature of Christ and the Holy Virgin under the form of a dazzling white body, and finally Satan as a serpentine in shimmering shapes similar to a multitude of sparkling and mysterious eyes. Is not this the start of the well-known Jesuitic, I've never seen it spelled that way, Jesuitic image making? Hold on. Jesuitic over relating to the Jesuits. I mean, okay. I just never seen it phrased that way. I just gotta see something. What? 1 second. 1 second for Gematria. I see all sorts of things that are interesting in that. You see the 57, Georgetown's 57. You see the 120 in that, Illuminati's 120. Again, the Illuminati established by the Jesuits. You see the 33 in that, modern Freemasonry created by the Jesuits, the Masons in 33, and then Freemasons 96 too. So that is a new word for my vocabulary, Jesuitic. Okay. But 57 like Georgetown, that jumps in a big way. Okay. Shoot. Always remember where you are when you take your... There it is. Is not this the start of the well-known Jesuitic image making? Mr. Boehmer adds that the deep meaning of the dogmas was revealed to him as a special favor from on high through transcendental intuitions. Many mysteries of faith and science became suddenly clear to him, and later he pretended to have learned more in those short moments than during the whole of his studies. However, he was never able to explain what these mysteries were which suddenly became clear to him. There was only a hazy recollection left, a feeling of something miraculous, as if, at the moment, he had become another man with another intelligence. All this may be the result of a nervous disorder and can be identified with what happens to smokers of opium and eaters of hashish. The enlargement or extension of the ego, the illusion of soaring beyond what is real, a flashing sensation leaving only a dazed recollection. Blissful visions and illuminations were constant companions of this mystic throughout his life. He never doubted the reality of these revelations. He chased Satan with a stick as he would have done a mad dog. He talked to the Holy Spirit as one does to another person actually. He asked for the approval of God, the Trinity, and the Madonna on all his projects that would burst into tears of joy when they appeared to him. On those occasions, he had a foretaste of celestial bliss. The heavens were open to him, and the Godhead was visible and perceptible to him. So again, this book is laying out that he was like truly a madman. And it gets written by Edmund Paris. And again, I read everything with a grain of salt. No doubt the Jesuits are mad as hell, but could somebody that was just so crazy and just like storming around their apartment, chasing off Satan with a stick, and then having a nice casual conversation in the other corner with God, could he be, like a madman, but at the same time so brilliant to have this order that dominates the world? You know what I mean? Could have been, again, there were other people in the group. It could have been somebody, he could have been the force of creating it, but he wasn't the necessary brains. Anyhow, is not this remember, he was killed by the numbers 84 days from his own birthday in 1556. So again, perhaps the right man for some jobs, but also the right man for the ritual. And then he was taken over by Diego Lainez, who was a Jew who converted to Catholicism. I can't find anywhere where it says, there's a lot of people who speculate that Ignatius of Loyola was Jewish and converted to Catholicism. There's a lot, it's no dispute in any history book that Diego Lainez was a Jew who converted to Catholicism, with several of the other founders of the Jesuit order, but that's who replaced Ignatius of Loyola after his death. Is not this the perfect case of an hallucinated person? It will be this same perceptible and visible Godhead that the spiritual sons of Loyola will constantly offer to the world, not only for political reasons, leaning on and flattering the deep-rooted inclination in the heart of man for adultery, but also by conviction, having been well and truly indoctrinated. So you just think about that day, the big Jesuit pawns who are out there today, the Faucis of the world, the Cuomos, the Bill Gateses. I see. From the start, medieval mysticism has prevailed in the Society of Jesus. It is still the great animator, in spite of its readily assumed worldly, intellectual, and learned aspects. Its basic axiom is, all things to all men. The arts, literature, science, and even philosophy have been mere means or nets to catch souls, like the easy indulgences granted by its casuists, and for which laxity they were so often reproved. To this order there is not a realm where human weakness cannot be worked upon, to incite the spirit and will to surrender and go back to a more childish and restful devotion. So they work for the bringing about of the kingdom of God according to their own ideal, a great flock under the Holy Fathers. What's this word? Crosier. That must be a Catholic word. I remember that one in kindergarten or first grade. It wasn't on Miss Bird's spelling test. I don't know how you say that word. Crosier? I don't know what that word is. I'm sure it's Catholic. Maybe that's the thing the father wears. Looks like a dress. Here, let's look it up. Like I used to teach. I used to always see. That's why my students could relate with me, because I was like, I can't pronounce any words either, and I always have to look up words. I said, you guys should always look up words, and if you write it down in a sentence, you'll be more likely to remember it. It's a hook staff carried by a bishop. So okay, that's what it is. The staff. Okay. Okay. The father's hooked staff. Should have just wrote it that way. I would have pronounced it perfectly. That learned men could possibly have such an anachronic ideal seems very strange, yet it is undeniably so, and the confirmation of an oft disregarded fact, the preeminence of the emotions in the life of the spirit. Besides, Kant said that every philosophy is but the expression of the philosopher's temperament or character. Apart from individual methods, the Jesuitic, that's my new word, temperament seems more or less uniform amongst them. A mixture of piety and diplomacy, asceticism and worldly wisdom, mysticism and cold calculation, as was Loyola's character, so is the trademark of this order. In the first place, every Jesuit chose this particular order because of his natural dispositions, but he really becomes a son of Loyola after rigorous tests and systemic training lasting no less than 14 years. The word ends 14. A lot of things end after 14. Sometimes I think about that with our education. I know why the nation's so big on 13, but I'm almost surprised they didn't have us go to a 14th year of school. I guess super seniors do that. In that way, the paradox of this order has continued for 400 years, an order which endeavors to be intellectual, but simultaneously has always been, within the Roman Church and society, the champion of the strictest disposition. Okay. So you can tell he's from an earlier time because he writes with great intelligence and vocabulary. Yours truly does not have great vocabulary. Moderate intelligence, but a lot more than most of the Idiocracy. That's why I swear to God, the Idiocracy movie is like a real documentary. It's about a guy who's just not that smart, but he just lives in a world of idiots, and he's like, what is wrong with everybody else? How come they can't see these obvious things? Okay. Apparently he arrived. I'll save more for later. I feel like I'm reading like a moron. But he did arrive in Jerusalem on September 1st of 1523. September 1st, 1523. I'm going to have to think about that one some more. So it says in this book here. Okay. Young Ben's calling in. What's up, Ben? How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Hi. I just wanted to get a few things in at the end here because I just heard you said you're going to stop reading. When you said to the greater glory of God, that's what the book says, right? To the greater glory of God?
Uh-huh.
To the greater glory of God, assuming it's spelled T-O, equals 266 and 122, like Jesus Hominum Salvator.
Well, doesn't that make so much sense? Going perfectly with Pope Francis.
Yeah.
And it's got the 103. It's got the 103 like Jesuits.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, so I wanted to point that out. And I also saw that, what do you call it? Where is it? Oh, yeah, the guy who built Christ the Redeemer, he died 95 days from his birthday.
Uh-oh.
The other big number.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. And I try to look up Brazil's old name too. I found Land of the Holy Cross, and Land of the Holy Cross is 84, like Jesuit.
Huh. Land of the Holy Cross. I'm pretty sure what was written on the old map was the word America before it was Brazil. So,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the connection there with the globalization of the Jesuits, but um, oh, and I found this yesterday. It's a little unrelated to what we're talking about now, but everybody's got to know this. So I looked up, because I remember when we talked a while back about the vaccine, you brought up Children of Men, and I looked it up, and the lead actor in Children of Men was Clive Owen.
Right.
And Clive Owen is from Coventry, UK, where Maggie Keene and William Shakespeare got their vaccine.
Wow, what a great find there. Also, if you go back and look at the Children of Men, where is my post at? If you go back and look at the Children of Men trailer, there's a total eclipse thing going on. It's undeniable. What in the world? Why does my search feature on my website really sucks? How can those things be coming up when I search Children of Men? What? Okay, well, if anybody wants to look up the Children of Men trailer, you'll see the clear eclipse thing they're doing, just with the eclipse relating to Corona and all that. So.
Well, Children of Men has interesting gematria, too. It's got the 126, like John Carroll and Adolfo Nicholas. It's got the 72, like Adolfo Nicholas, a Jesuit order, and the 225, like how Nicholas died on the day leaving 225 days in a year, and his name is 225. And it's got 63, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, just the whole him being born in Coventry just was like, that was overload for me. It's like, it's just so in your face when you know it.
It is. It definitely is. Any progress? Any people around you coming around to it more and more?
I thought. I'll tell you. I'll tell you later. But,
okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's not the easiest out here, but people will be people. We'll leave it at that. But no, I'm trying. I was just looking around more. Yeah, the monument, the Christ the Redeemer monument, was inaugurated on October 12th, 1931, a date with 72 numerology. So, it's just endless, though.
And again, it's just so obvious that it's all biblical, just on the same day as Clade X, which is the biblical number. It's just, I don't know what it's going to take to get people to see it. So.
No, I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to talk to some of these groups on Instagram that are pretty awake. I found the one channel. This is actually the channel that tipped us off to the Christ the Redeemer thing in the first place. A woman on Instagram named Shanda, who Bryson and I follow. She's the one she puts out a lot of good information on not just the vaccine, but also all the other things too, like weather warfare and stuff. And she's the one who tipped us off to this. And I've been trying to get her followers to look into it, just because they seem to be the most awake group I've found. I still haven't gotten much feedback, but hopefully people are checking it out and just not saying anything. But
well,
we'll
that's
see.
good. Well, it's good there's some communication going on, so good job.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, appreciate you, Ben.
But yeah, no problem.
All right, you have a good one.
Have a good one.
Yeah, take care.
You too.
All right, young Ben, young Bryson. Okay. So, yeah. Well, I don't have an update yet on the time, but we'll leave it there for now. And, yeah, I mean, I guess it's just a choice thing. It's just people choose not to see the obvious and wake up. It's just too easy to just go along. Go along to get along. That strategy's not going to work forever, though, for a lot of people, so... We'll leave it there for now, you guys. Have a great rest of your day. And, yeah, hopefully I get a confirmation here from Sweet Lady. And if I do, get out on the corner here. So we'll leave it there for now. And until next time.